Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Yay. It
Yay.
is Dominic, the boy who sews, and Kim from Cotton Cuts. We are here with our second video and a fantastic series. I am excited about this.
It's going great. Yeah,
It's
the first video is fun.
Yeah.
So
What are we
going to
doing?
be making another block.
We're going to be making another quilt block.
Based on instructions that AI solely made, and we have it here.
Yes. So we did the same thing again. So for background and context, a couple weeks ago, I uploaded an image of a block into Chat GPT to test its ability to be able to generate a pattern to recreate that block. And so Dominic is here. He is on his summer internship, and he thought it'd be fun if we did this again. So he uploaded, which block did you upload?
The first time. The Mystery 5-0.
Yes, the Mystery 5-0 Star Bright block.
Yes. Star Bright.
Yes. So this is a block that everyone sewed. I think the date was March 31st. And we gave you all the cutting instructions. We pre-cut some for you. He uploaded that block into Chat GPT. Now, Dominic, the last time we did this, was it a success?
Yes.
As in we proved that Chat GPT.
We had fun.
We had fun. Yes. So we're hoping that it is more successful this time. Now, I have not taken a look at these directions to be able to test them and see how it goes. But when he uploaded the image, and we're going to give Paula, she's going to, in post-edit, she's going to actually show you guys an image of the block. He uploaded the one from the pattern.
Here.
It'll be here, or maybe she's just going to take us down and put it in. Okay.
We're not here.
Now, when we did this both times, one of the first things that we learned is you have to tell Chat GPT the finished dimensions that you want your block to be. Without it, it's going to make up dimensions and it'll get all wonky. It'll get wonkier than it probably is, but you have to tell it its finished dimensions so it tells you how to cut it. And so you put it in. You didn't have to modify your prompt. And can you read the prompt, what you put in?
No, it doesn't have it here.
No, you don't. Oh, you didn't. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so we have the right papers now. So this is the best part about any internship is learning and making sure that you have the right papers. Well,
yeah,
it's okay. Okay, so Dominic, can you please read to everyone what the prompt was that you put into Chat GPT to make this block?
So this actually took two prompts. I asked, can you make the instructions for me to make this quilt block? And I had the image of the quilt block that we're going to be making. And after that, it made a block that was 12 by 12. But last time that we did this, we had a block that was 21 by 21. So I asked it to scale it up to 21 by 21. And it multiplied everything by, I think, 1.75.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yes. Okay, perfect. So we have the instructions here from Chat GPT. Now, like last time, it gave us this beautifully laid out pattern to sew. And then at the end, it said, would you like a, what was it, a pressing diagram?
Would you like a diagram?
Would you like a diagram? And what did you say?
Yes. Yes, I want a diagram.
And what did it say?
Hold on. It's taking a bit. And it took a bit for like an hour.
And did it come out after an hour?
No, it did not.
And did you follow up?
Yes.
And
I asked it to make it in 60 seconds. And it said it'll be done in 60 seconds. And in 60 seconds, there was no diagram.
We were told, so this came out in the first video, is perhaps if you give Chat GPT a timeline, it would actually generate the diagram. And guess what? Did that work?
No, it didn't.
No, because we're still waiting for this diagram. So, okay, more work to come on that front. So in this pattern, at first glance, this looks really, really, really nice. Okay, so Dominic, while I am cutting this, tell us, what are you doing this summer at Cotton Cuts?
Well, I'm working on a whole bunch of media stuff, so I'm scheduling a whole bunch of videos that we're going to be making throughout the summer that I'm going to be here. So
okay, cool.
Look forward to those videos later.
And also, you are helping on the floor. For example, today you've got a project you're going to be helping us out with. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I have one yellow square that is 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. All right. What's our next thing we're cutting? And it's yellow. And so in the pattern, it was solid. Dominic did some dumpster diving and pulled out some scraps for us. And so this was left over from our Mystery 5-0. And so our center square. What's next?
Okay. Star points. We need 4 squares, which we're going to cut in half. And the 4 squares should be 5 1/4 by 5 1/4.
Okay, so 4 squares, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I can do that. And we need 4 of them. So I'm going to double up and try and do this kind of efficiently. And then we're going to be cutting them in half diagonally. And in the top, when it said cutting instructions, fabric requirements, it said 8 right triangles. So we should, so far, get 8 right triangles if we follow this pattern.
So far.
So, very good. You're so funny, kid.
I know.
You're so SEW funny. All right, so Dominic, why did you choose this block for us to cut today? Because you wanted it to be super challenging for me?
Yes. We give Chat GPT a challenge.
Yes.
No, I liked the pattern. The solids were nice. And it was a part of the Mystery 5.0, which is upcoming, or no, not, well, kind of upcoming.
It is upcoming.
It's on the timeline.
So it depends on when people see this video. So Mystery 5.0, we did that live sew-in on the 31st. And so you were with me at home when we were sewing along with people all over the world, making this lovely block. And then we have it, and it's going to be starting signups on June 1st to participate, or excuse me, July 1st to participate in August. And like I said, these fabrics that we're using are fabrics that were in our remnants bin from the 5.0 that's being cut right now. And it's going to happen quarterly, which is super fun. All right, so I've got most of my cuts here, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. 4 triangles at 5 1/4 is makes me appreciate all the cutting that Cotton Cuts does for us. All right, so I have my squares. There are 4 of them. I cut them all at once because I'm a cut everything at once type of person, and then I'm going to cut them on the diagonal. And with that, this is kind of our first improvement over the last pattern. We have 8 right triangles. All right, Dominic, what's next? That's our red.
We need green diamonds. We need to cut 2 squares that are 4 3/8 by 4 3/8, and then cut diagonally twice.
So we're making 8 small triangles. These are going to be tiny triangles. I don't remember tiny triangles, but okay. Yeah. My memory, I'm not as young as I used to be. Perhaps my memory could be fading on me. Okay, so we need 2 squares that are 4 3/8 by 4 3/8. Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Oh, ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. All right. So Dominic, what is your favorite part of the sewing process?
The result.
The result. So tell me about that.
Well, when you finish a quilting project, you generally have a quilt where you finish your project, and the process is nice, but like still having something to show for your efforts at the end is very fun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a big, I like done, but it is hard for me to get to done on a lot of projects. So sometimes I just have to enjoy the process. Yeah. Okay, so these are supposed to be 4 3/8. You can tell I am rusty at cutting because measuring these 3/8 is not something I've done frequently. Okay, so I've got my 2 squares that are 4 3/8. And then I'm going to cut them on the diagonal twice. Now this would be infinitely easier if I had the rotating mat that I showed everyone on the live a couple weeks ago for fussy cutting, because I would cut one direction, rotate the mat, and then cut it again. But instead I'm having to do it the old school way. And you know, in geometry, when you have to line up the line on the bottom and cut the hypotenuse of the triangle, all of this mathism in quilting. Okay, so now I have my 8 triangles, small triangles it says.
Witty bitty.
All right, and then for the cream background, we have to cut some more. We've got lots of cutting to do. Maybe what we'll do is we will have Paula edit out some of our cutting so that way we can get to the fun stuff when we actually start sewing things together. All right, so we need corner squares that are 4 3/8 and then rectangles, 4 3/8 by 7 7/8. All right, so this is going to be interesting to do with the piece of fabric that's been selected. So he picked this cream, which is the background of one of the Mystery 5.0 fabrics. So let me actually just cut the whole strip 4 3/8. That'll make this part easier. I feel like this one has the potential to be more successful than the first one, don't you think?
Yeah. Okay. After proofreading it, it does not look like that though.
I know, right? Okay, so it's going to make a 21 inch by 21 inch Ohio Star variation. So it's calling it Ohio Star variation. So it's already identified it as a variation of existing block instructions. This one I love. Tells us that all measurements include a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Last time we had to apply basic quilt knowledge and assume that it was a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So it seems like Chat GPT is getting incrementally better. So it tells us.
It's learning.
It tells, believe it or not, it's learning. Okay, So then the first paragraph, it says fabric requirements, colors match image. And so in the image, as we saw when Paula put it up, it's all solids. And so it says fabric requirements. Yellow is the
center square.
And it says 1 square.
Yes.
Is that a fabric requirement?
No, but it has the cutting instructions.
Yeah, but it's so normally when a pattern says fabric requirements, it'll say like a 1/4 yard. Because that's the fabric that it requires to complete the block.
Yeah. Yes. I guess you need a square fabric.
You need 1 square of a yellow.
None of these rectangles.
I know. Red is the star points, and you need 8 right triangles to be cut out of a fat 1/4 or a 1/2 yard or a yard. Well, okay, we're gonna figure this out as we go. So typically, when a pattern says fabric requirements, it would give you a 1/4 yard, 1/2 yard, however much the required fabric you need. So it itemized out all the colors and what they are used for in the design, and it tells us what the shape. So it says 4 rectangles, 4 squares, 8 triangles, for example.
Gives us the whole rundown of what we need.
Yes, and I'm gonna have to say, so this wasn't in our last one. It has these cute little emojis next to each section. So it has these little scissor bits, and then that's like a spool of thread. I think that's a cute little.
They're like.
It's a cute little touch.
Yeah. Like pictures before different chapters.
Yeah, pictures before different chapters. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So now let's get to our cutting instructions. So Dominic has picked out all the fabric. What we're going to do is I am cutting today. Dominic is going to sew, and then I will press. Okay. Are you ready? So what's our first cutting instruction?
We need to cut 1 center yellow square, and it needs to be 7 7/8 by 7 7/8.
Okay, so I'm going to say that's kind of the first kind of flag for me is when we made this design, there were no 7/8. So I don't know where we're going with this. In fact, I don't know if it's going to finish 21 by 21 because, as you said, it's scaled your first design, but I don't know if it's scaled correctly because to scale a pattern is actually quite challenging. So you said 7 and how many 8s?
7/8.
Okay, so that's going to be 18 and 7/8 on my cutting mat. All right. Are you going to a city at the end of July?
I'm going on the quilting retreat to New Orleans with Kim from Cotton Cuts and a whole bunch of other.
AKA Mom.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of other quilters.
All right. Okay. Doo-pa-doo-pa-doo. All right, so I'm going to be able to get those squares out of the piece of fabric that we have. But I am probably not going to be able to get those strips. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to have to take a TV edit break. If you are watching us, please bear with us. I have my 4 squares that are 4 3/8 by 4 3/8. And then I think I'm only going to get 2 that are that strip dimension. So what I'm going to have Dominic do is we're going to take a quick break. Paula's going to edit this video back together. So for you guys, it's going to be seamless. We're going to get some more of this cream and I'm going to have those cut. And then we're going to get to our borders and then we actually get to start sewing. So hang with us for a second and we will be right back. Okay. And we're back. All right.
Yes.
So yes. Okay. So that was a fun little break. Yes. Okay. So in that break, we went and we found more of the cream fabric and we cut these shapes. Yes. And as we were cutting these shapes, I had to stop and ask Dominic, I don't remember this shape either.
So we went to
stop. So we're going to get to that part. But we cut this shape because this is what the instructions told us to cut. So we did it. Yes. Okay. Now, we also went ahead and cut everything else. I mean, as much fun as it is to sit here and watch me cut, you guys want to see the sew process because this is going to be epic. I have a feeling. All right. So then it says borders. It calls these borders. And so blue rectangles, it wanted us to cut 2 that were 3.5 by 14 7/8. To be clear, we're making a 21-inch block, and it wants me to cut borders that are 14 7/8. So I did that. Here's my 14 7/8 borders, and there's 2 of them using Allison Glass and Blue. Okay. Then it says
part is the 14 by 7/8.
Yes, I know.
It's small compared to the next.
And the next one are our second borders, which again, borders traditionally go on the outside of a block. These ones are 21 7/8 to make a 21-inch finished block.
No, it's a 1/4 seam allowance.
It's a 1/4 seam allowance, but that's not,
21 5/8.
Yes, I know. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to have faith in the process. And we're going to keep going.
Yes.
Then I need 2 blue squares that are 3.5 inches squared and 2 red squares that are 3.5 inches squared. All right. Are we ready to sew this? I have a feeling this is not going to work.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
It's funny, we've only made it this far and we think it's not going to work. Okay, so we during the break, I had Dominic pull what actual block looks like. So go ahead and
with
show
some
everyone.
color skewed.
Yes, so this is what the block actually looks like. So we know where we're going for. Now keep in mind, at no point does anyone see this shape in this finished design, but we're going for it. Are we ready to start sewing?
For reference, the cream is supposed to be the white.
Yes, the cream is the white in this design. Okay, so what we're going to do is I want to make sure we have kind of general outlines, right? So we're going to follow generally accepted quilting principles and sewing principles. So we're going to use the best knowledge that we have as we go along. Dominic is going to be sewing and I will be pressing. Are you ready, Dominic?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. So the first assembly instruction says make star points, and then it says this flying geese style. So I hope you know what a flying geese is, because that's not, I would say, is making flying geese generally accepted quilting knowledge? Okay, we're going to have to make a stretch there. So red triangles to both sides of green triangles.
Red triangles to both sides of green triangles. About that.
Yeah. So red triangles to both sides of green triangles? Stop. We can't even do the first step. Like, what's... We can't even do the first step. Sew these to both sides of these.
I think if it says both sides, it should be the two equal sides.
But there's no equal sides. Look, nothing matches.
No, it should be the two equal sides of the green triangles because it says to both sides.
So are we going to do it this way? I think we should...
There's only one hypotenuse.
So we're gonna so red triangles to both sides of green triangles. It doesn't tell. It says results 4 flying geese units that are 4 3/8 by 7 7/8. What is the 7 7/8 dimension? There's no 7 7/8 here. Okay. All right. So we're gonna have faith. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make flying geese units with our tiny green triangles in the center. So Dominic, I want you to sew that edge on all of them.
This one?
Yeah. We're gonna try and construct a unit here. Now, mind you, it's not gonna be these finished dimensions, people. And to be clear, like, do we even have? Oh my God. Okay, I think we have the right number of parts, but we're gonna have leftover green triangles when all is said and done with this. But we're only supposed to make 4 flying geese units. So you're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm getting them all laid out for him, and you guys, we can't even do the first step, so this is already off the rails. Boop-a-da-boop-a-da-boop. Okay. This is exciting because at no point is there a 7 7/8 dimension on either of these two shapes. So we will see how this goes.
Back up.
Okay, he is sewing. Okay, so he's going to sew our flying geese unit.
It was not moving. The bobsled was not bobsledding.
The bobsled was not bobsledding.
It's not moving.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
All right, he's got it, people. All right, he's got it. So he's going to sew these impossible to assemble flying geese. And I'm going to give you guys what the next step in these instructions are. We really should have read this ahead. This is an epic fail. So the second step says assemble rows. That's it. Assemble rows. Do we have anything that resembles a row?
The sewing machine was not sewing.
I don't think the sewing machine's our biggest problem here, bro.
Yeah, but
all right. Do you need here? Just get rid of that piece. We keep sewing. We got to get these fake flying geese made. Okay, so it says the top row is a cream square.
Yeah, it does work.
A cream square to our flying geese. That's not going to be a flying geese to a cream square.
Press.
Okay, I will press that one. You keep sewing. Okay, we're gonna. That's fun.
There's 8 of these. Oh.
Yeah. Well, no, you're only making 4 flying geese units.
Oh yeah, 4.
Again, we don't. It would be. I would know which way to press if we had our pressing instructions, but we don't have pressing instructions either. Okay. I have a feeling something went very, very wrong with the cutting of this green bit. I think that's our biggest problem. Is that the only problem we're having? No, we're also having technical sewing problems.
Well, no, it's the sewing machine.
Uh-huh.
No, it is.
Okay.
Generally is.
So to be clear, we're making flying geese where that is the center and this is the wing of the geese. All right. He's still sewing these. It's obviously challenging to sew when you don't have full seams. All right. Are you good? We got to keep going.
The sewing machine is not working.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just going to keep going here. Okay.
I swear.
So clearly we've got some problems, which is fine. But you know, we're gonna have faith in the process. And as Dominic said last time we did this, we want to make sure that we at least stick to the intent of making a quilt block. And so we'll have a block, I think, by the time all is said and done. Sew red triangles to both sides of green triangles. I mean, we just go in a ditch right there, man. We just go right in a ditch. That's
where we went wrong.
Yeah, sew red triangles to both sides of green triangles.
All of our mistakes happened there.
Yes, it did not go well.
It's the source of all problems.
Okay, so we're making these flying geese. I think you might have one too many because again, we're going to have extra fabric and too many of a shape and not enough of another shape. But you know, we're still playing the game. All right. Okay, he's got his last, and so we have.
No, it was not threading.
Oh, okay. Okay, our bobbin is out of thread, gang. This is how this morning is going. I feel like we're in summer mode. Yes.
Yeah. Where's the bobbin?
Okay, so we've got to thread a bobbin. We're gonna pause. We're gonna finish these flying geese, and then we're gonna come back to this next step that just says assemble rows. So hang with us for a second, and that's the problem. This is like everything that could potentially go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. It turns out you don't have a bobbin.
Yeah. All right. We will get back. Hold on. Give us a second. All right. We're back.
Yes.
All right. So we have a fresh bobbin.
Yep.
That's fixed. Thank you, Dominic, for getting that all sorted and rethreading the machine. And we finished our flying geese style units. Mm-hmm. Now, we had to make an executive decision as we sewed these together. So, because the instructions said, sew red triangles to both sides of green triangles. And so we sewed our red triangles to both sides of our green triangles, flying geese style.
But we did have to cut off the end of the red triangle.
Yeah, we trimmed that triangle here because we want to be able to continue to sew this. Again, we're taking positive intent and we're actually going to try and make a block.
Oh, it's a big ask.
It's a big ask. Okay. So as I said, the next step just says assemble rows, which is fun because we don't have rows yet. But it says for our top row, we're going to take a cream square. Mm-hmm. And we're going to attach it to a flying geese. And we're going to attach it to a cream square. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the interesting kind of question, right? So I guess we could attach those. It doesn't really tell us which sides to attach to which. So we're going to apply some common quilting knowledge. And we're actually going to take what we know about, about the finished block. So Dominic, I think what we're going to do is we're going to sew it to these long wings here on the triangle. I feel like that's the right.
Yeah,
intent.
that.
Okay, so get going. And so to be clear, it says top row. So you're just going to do this on both sides of this piece. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then I'm going to work on this middle row, which is flying geese, yellow square, flying geese. And so same, it doesn't really tell us which sides to connect together. So we're going to make this up. And I feel like the right answer would be to attach the flying geese to this side. And just for kicks and giggles, because we know these dimensions are not working, that square was like 7 and 7/8. And we know that nothing on these geese are 7 and 7/8. So I'm going to have Dominic sew it here on this side. And then we're going to flip it on the other side. And that'll be our middle row. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then our bottom row is the same. It's a cream square with the flying geese with the cream square. All right. Are we doing this? All right.
I am.
And do we have enough cream squares? Okay, we do. That's good. That's good news. Some of these we don't have enough parts to, or we have too many parts. Like we have a ton of those green triangles. I don't think that was cut correctly. Here, you sew this one. I will press this one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have him start sewing some of these and pressing some of these so we can see how this is actually going to work. Again, I have no pressing instructions because, Dominic, are we still waiting for that image?
Yes.
Yes, we're still waiting for that image to come. Okay, so this is one of our rows, which is square, flying geese, square. All right. All right, square, flying geese, square.
Yeah.
Yeah, square, flying geese, square. This makes perfect sense. To be clear, it makes no sense. But we're doing it anyway, so you're going to stitch on that side. Okay, dokey. So if you're watching this, I would love for you to help us figure out. I mean, we can definitely go back and post-show. We can look at the pattern. Where did this go wrong? I feel like these green squares, had we not cut them in quarter square triangles, I feel like if we left them half square triangles, that might have been better. But you're making flying geese, which are always quarter squares, because you never want these bias edges to stretch. So I feel like there was definitely something that went wrong there. But at the same time, like, I don't think the red to either side, we're going to have to look at the finished color block and see. I bet you they mixed up the words green and red. But again, none of the sides of the triangle go together. This is vexing to me. This is very, very vexing to me. All right. So Dominic is sewing, assembling our rows, the top row and the bottom row, and he will start assembling our middle row in a minute. Okay, we've got one row done. This is exciting. All right, here, that's for you. Let me press it. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So here is, and Nate, take your pick, top row or bottom row. Now I know that about 300 or 400 people sewed this block with us. Not a single one of our blocks looked this way, but this is how it's instructing us to. And can I have the shop sample real quick? It missed a major design element in the top row and the bottom row. Like there's a whole like piece missing. I feel like this piece here in the middle is completely missing from the design. We don't have that at all. We sewed it together as triangles. It could have been a square, but we've got this piece stuffs going on. So, all right, Dominic, how you doing?
Pretty good, I think.
Okay.
I hope.
We've got top row done. We've got bottom row done. We're about to have middle row done. All right, start sewing that middle row. And then we're going to assemble these together, and then we're going to add borders to it, and it's going to magically whiz-bang work.
Like this?
Yeah, we're going to just center it on that side. We have literally no other options. It just says to sew that to the center square, but I'm just going to take the longest dimension and put it on the side of the square, and we're just going to center it and hope it all works out. Do you think it's going to work out?
No. I'm not the right person to ask.
I feel like maybe we should have started the show by asking people how close is it actually going to be to what it's supposed to be, right? Maybe that's what we'll do next time is we'll ask them to comment how close they think it's actually going to be to the right block.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10.
All right, kiddo. This centering it on the long side is a little challenging and problematic. All right, you got it? I will press this. So this is what some of it looks like, the BAM. All right, we're doing the best we can. Okay, I'm going to press this.
If only this actually had pressing instructions.
If only it had a pressing diagram.
Yes.
Where do you think that pressing diagram is? Do you think it's like in the postal service with a lot of people's clues? Probably. All right. Okay.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to center this on this side again. So you guys, this is the part where he was struggling with. He's like, you want me to sew what to what? So we're just going to sew that to that. And we're going to, we're connecting the seams together to make a block. So that's the part when he was like, wait, you want me to sew what to what? To be clear, the boy also just sewed this to this. And this does not look right at all. Okay.
I'm having to work with what I'm given.
Yes, we are working with what we're given. And I am reading ahead, and man, these directions get real good in a second here. You are going to want to hang with us and see what's next. Okay. Then the next step, and I'm actually going to pause the video for this because it's going to take some finagling, is it says step 3. Now, mind you, we've done a lot of sewing and a lot of cutting, and this is only step 3. Step 3 says sew rows together. And all it says is your center block should now measure 14 7/8 by 14 7/8 unfinished. It doesn't tell me to sew top row to middle row to bottom row. It doesn't really tell me any of that. It just really assumes that I know that, which I guess, thank you for not, really holding my hand through this process, but it says sew rows together. Your center block should measure 14 7/8 by 14 7/8. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause the video. I'm going to have Dominic, and we're going to do top row, middle row, bottom row. And then I would love for you guys to comment what size you think this block actually is. I will give you a hint. It's probably not 14 7/8 by 14 7/8. So give us a second. We're going to get this sewed, and we're going to come right back. Okay. All right. So we're back.
Yes.
And we have stitched the top row to the middle row to the bottom row. And it is entertaining. And so we asked you guys to maybe take a guess as to what you think this finished square is, because our instructions say it should be 14 7/8 by 14 7/8. And so drum roll. Yeah, nope.
It is not that.
It is
that
not
is
that.
not right.
Let us show you what we've got. So here we've got this beautiful square so far. And this is our top row, our middle row, and our bottom row.
We have had to trim many of these triangles.
We've had to trim. So we trimmed that square in the middle because we wanted to be able to show a straight edge together. And then we trimmed all of our flying geese on the top here because we're going to be sewing borders on this lovely guy. Okay, yes. And so, Dominic, what are its dimensions?
You said it was 13 5/8.
13 5/8 by, I didn't measure both sides. Maybe I should do that. Okay, so that in the other dimension is 14 1/4. It is not square. Did you honestly expect this to be square, child?
No.
All right. Wow, you give AI a lot more credit than I do. Okay, so this is our unit. So we're going to read, we're going to pick up our instructions, and I skimmed ahead, and this is about to get a little wonky sauce here. Okay, so it said sew rows together. Your center block should now measure 14 7/8 by 14 7/8, which it most definitely does not.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Then step 4 says add border. Not plural, singular, add border. And it says sew blue and red squares together for the corners. Think about that. So we have 2 blue squares and 2 red squares, and we're supposed to sew them together for the corners. What do we do?
So wait, what I think, so these pieces are longer and these pieces are shorter, and we have to make a border, and it has to be square. So I think what it wants us to do is we're going to take like a corner square, and then on one side it has this, and then we attach this part to the shorter one, and then the longer side to the one without.
Okay, so what we're supposed to do is it's supposed to be these guys, but they're not different colors, and they're supposed to be in the corners, right? But if I sew them together, okay, so let's see here.
Wait, no, didn't it say it had 4 red squares? Oh no.
Yeah, no. We have 2 blue and 2 red squares. And they're supposed to be in the corners of the unit. Okay, so it says sew blue and red squares together for the corners. So again, we're doing the same intent that we had when we did this project last time, and that's follow the instructions as written. So I want you to sew blue and red squares together for the corners. I think we sew them all together.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say to make 2 pairs.
It's not good.
It doesn't say. What do we think we should do? Sew blue and red squares together for the corners.
So what I think we do.
What do you guys think we should do? I'm going to read the comments afterwards.
Wait.
The instructions say sew blue and red squares together for the corners. We know it's wrong. So what do we do?
So I think we do it together.
You're just going to layer all 4 on top and do one seam? Okay, so Dominic is in his literal phase, and so we're going to take all 4 of the squares and we're going to do one seam. Okay, do it.
Yes.
Because it just says sew blue and red squares together for the corners.
Oh, this is going to go wonderful.
So he's doing that. All right, so then the next bullet says attach side borders, 3.5 by 14 7/8. So those are our 2 shorter borders. And so we're going to sew them shorter borders. All right, so we're going to show them onto the shorter sides.
Or did you just say we're going to show them on?
I know. Sew them on to the shorter sides. Let me pin this for Dominic. And so he's going to sew these borders on for us. The shorter borders are going to get sewed on here. And again, since the borders are actually longer than the piece because it doesn't measure the 14 7/8 by 14 7/8 that it's supposed to because we're missing some stuff, we're gonna do it this way.
Did you ever mention the cream rectangles?
It has not. We have not come back to those cream rectangles that are actually nowhere in the design. Okay, here we go. So he's going to sew that top and bottom. Okay, here, I will take this. Okay, you sew that top and bottom on. And so here we have sewn in like book fashion all of our squares together for the corners.
It's like we did the cuddle books.
It's like a cuddle. It's a mini cuddle book. I like that. It's a mini swatch cuddle book.
Line these up.
I did. Just you're gonna. Well, remember, go to the pins. I know it's crooked. I have no choice, man. It kind of goes like this on the sides because we've made flying geese that aren't real flying geese. Okay, so he is stitching those borders on, and so he's gonna attach the side borders, and then the last step of our instructions says attach top and bottom borders with corners inserted. Okay, so I would love to see your interpretation of what we're going to do for that with the corners inserted. So we're going to insert this somewhere into our top and bottom border. How are we? Give some thought to that, kiddo. Oh, keep sewing. Go all the way down the line.
Okay.
I know. Okay, he's working on it. It's hard because when you attach that border, it kind of has to jump where the flying geese don't really connect. We're working on it. Okay. So literally the last step says attach top and bottom borders, 3.5 by 21 and 7/8. To be clear, a 21 by 7/8 border does not make a 21-inch finished block with the corners inserted. And then, but that's the thing, like you could do this on both sides without needing these squares at all. This is bonkers. All right, so it says the final size of the unfinished block is 21.5 by 21.5, and the finished block in the quilt is 21 by 21. I don't know. Well, what do you guys think our finished dimensions are actually going to turn out to be? All right, so the other side, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
The other one.
We're going to take a quick pause here. There'll be a nice shade of black as we finish adding that border, and then we'll come back and talk about what it means to insert our corners into this. All right, give us a second, gang. All right, so we sewed on our borders. We got the top borders, bottom borders. We got the left, right, and borders. Left, right borders on it. Okay.
And it does not look great.
Well, so okay. So let's time out a minute here, right? Okay. So we're gonna come back to this. Attach the top and bottom borders with corners inserted. So we didn't know what that meant. We were like, we're just gonna give it up. So we kept this little cuddle book to the side that we made, and so we decided not to use it. Now, interestingly enough, these strips that we cut that we were like, they're nowhere in the design a few minutes ago, we actually didn't end up using these.
Yeah,
they were probably these gaps. There's some measure of this that's supposed to be that gap. Okay, so we didn't end up using those. But what I want to show you guys is the actual finished block here. So Dominic's going to first show you the design as it was intended. The colors are different, but let's show them what the finished design was supposed to be. All right. Okay. So it's an Ohio Star variation, and it finishes 21 inches by 21 inches. And then this one is what we made with Chat GPT. Let's see if we can hold them side by side in the camera.
Yeah.
I'm like looking through it. Here we go. Okay. So what I would say, so clearly we've got some holes, right? There's some actual holes in the design.
It's not great.
It's not great, but I would say like, largely the design intent is close.
There were in fact a square.
There was a square. I mean, but none of this is square because it's all wonky, and it's like the center square is not a square anymore.
Well, yeah, it's a rectangle.
I feel like for me, adding the borders kind of finished it and made it feel like a block. So I feel like that's almost the lesson. Is it almost you can be close enough in the middle, and adding a border instantly makes it a block.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's got giant holes and the triangles don't really have points and the flying geese aren't really flying anywhere.
The borders.
I mean, yeah, they're too long, and it didn't hit our. So I guess if you ignore the fact that it's got giant gaps in it, the triangles don't have any points, the geese don't fly anywhere, they're benched, they're grounded in O'Hare, and the borders aren't right. It doesn't hit our finished dimension. The square's not centered. I think it was close.
I think it was real darn close. I think it's perfect except for everything that wasn't.
It was close, except for everywhere it wasn't, which the list is very long. Okay, so Dominic, what did we learn about this experience? Is this better or worse than the first time we did this?
I feel like we got better. I mean, obviously, the border helped.
Yeah, I think. So do you think Chat GPT is learning and there might be hope for it as a quilt pattern designer?
No.
now.
No, not for now. It's going to take a bit.
It's going to take still a little bit, guys. Okay, so this was a ton of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you laughed with us, and I hope you scratched your heads at parts where we were very confused as well. You know, we're going to try this again. I think Dominic has us to do this a couple more times, and we'll see if it gets closer and smarter as time goes on, because clearly it did learn about the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Yeah, that is new and different from the first time. So maybe it's getting smarter. Maybe it's a learning system. Yes. All right. That is it for us. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Leave your comments, leave your feedback. Tell us how you would have interpreted it differently. Perhaps if there's a block that you would like to see us try to sew, put it in the comments, and Dominic will read all the comments, and we will go from there. This was a lot of fun. Yeah. Hey, high five, bro. All right. That's it. We will see you guys next time. Everyone have a great week, and we will see you soon. Bye now.